In golf, we talk a lot about basics, and basics are what you need to get right to have an effortless golf swing. Guys, welcome back to Get Good at Golf. I am Chris, and let's talk about how you can make the easiest swing possible, start to hit more greens, start to strike your irons better, start to strike your woods better, and lower your scores. So the first thing we want to do when we talk about a basic setup is make sure that we are getting a good stance. A stance where we can obviously make a swing where we can swing as fast as possible whilst in balance. And I've got a mid iron here, so I've got a 6 iron here, and what we want to think about is I'm just a little bit wider than shoulder width. So yes, if it was going down to your pitching wedge, you might be a little bit narrower, because we're not going to want to swing that as fast, because we want to control that shot. With this, we want optimum speed, we want optimum balance, so I need to get my stance width correct. From there, it's not just the width. You can see that I've got this left foot turned out. So how many times I see people stand there with very straight feet pointing forwards, because that's what we're being told many years ago. Well, from here, obviously straight away there, if I want to swing as fast as possible, I'm very restricted into how far I can rotate through. You see, if I turn that left foot out even nearly to 45 degrees, I can now rotate much easier through that golf shot. And what we need to do, obviously, to get that club into the position we want, which is here, we have to have rotated through. If I'm stuck with that foot straight, we often start to see we lose our angles, and then from there we're often in this kind of position, which we know is not a strong athletic position. We're also not going to be optimizing your shots. So once we've got the stance width, we've got the left foot turned out, we then need to think about where your weight is. So we don't want it in the toes, and we don't want it in the heels. So if I start to get into the toes, what we start to see is people will start to lose their angles and start to move down towards the golf ball, and then we know as a result they're going to try and stand up and recover those angles in the downswing. And we know from there we're going to often see that we might leave that club way open, we might then flip those hands over, and we might get it closed. Again, if we're in the heels, if we're very much back here, what we'll start to see is that people will start to move the hips a lot. The club will start to work around here, and we know from here to get back to that golf ball, we have got a lot of work to do. We often see then we come over the top and we finish on that back foot. So we've got to think, if I'm stood here now, somebody shouldn't be able to push me forwards, and they shouldn't be able to push me backwards. A good reference for this, if you've got an alignment stick in your bag, pop that underneath your feet, in the middle of your feet, and start to see where your weight is. Is it forwards of that alignment stick, or your heels off the ground, or are your toes off the ground? An alignment stick is always a fantastic training aid to have in your bag. So once we've got the stance right, not only the width, but we've also got that left foot turned out and we've got the heels right, we then need to think about our grip. So our grip's going to have a massive effect on how fast you can swing that club, and also how we return that club square. So what I want to think about is when we've got a neutral grip, which you will see videos on the channel for this, is we need to then think about how strong I'm gripping that club. I like to think that you are around about a 5 or 6 out of 10. Often what we see from people are they are strangling that club. You'll see that my arms are very rigid then, and from here we don't have much movement, and it all gets all over the place. We start to get a path that could work across the ball, out to the left, or we could get it working out to the right, but the body's having to make compensations to get that back. So I want you to think, right, if we've got that neutral grip, again, a right-handed golfer, through the fingers, we're going to see that the left thumb sits down the right-hand side of the grip. We bring that right hand on, we get the pad of the hand onto that thumb, and your right thumb sits down the left hand side there. If you've got a grip with a logo on like this lambkin here, it's a nice reference point for you. But once we're on that position, I'm not strangling that club. I've not got a lot of tension, because that is going to limit how fast we can swing that club. And we want you to hit the ball as far as possible, but also as straight as possible. So then what are we thinking after that? So if I come into this shot and I get my stance correct, I've got my left foot turned out, my weight's good, my grip's nice and neutral, but I've not kept my balance. Where has that golf ball gone? That golf ball has missed the green to the right. Where have I finished? And we see this a lot when people come for lessons, they try to go for it. Weight finishes right, my body's pointing down the right hand side, and that's a big indicator of where your golf ball could potentially finish. If you're somebody who finishes back here, often we start to see that you may have missed that shot to the left. The chest is pointing left of the green there. That might have been one of those that I've pulled. So the final checkpoint I want you to do to make sure we've got an effortless swing is, once we've got a good setup, is get through to that finish position. You'll hear it in a lot of lessons, can you hold your finish position? And that's a big indication of how you can break down your shot, because we want you to not have to go for lessons every single week. We want you to be able to go, right, I've hit a bad shot, but from my finish, can I break down exactly what's happened? You'll see there, I fell forwards, that's going to push my path out to the right, I've lost my golf ball to the right. If I hang back on it, we're potentially going to lose that golf ball to the left. So what we want to see here is we go through those checkpoints. Stance width is good, left foot is turned out, my grip is neutral, I'm not strangling the club. And then from here, we want to be able to hold that finish there, and you'll see that's just up the left hand side. Is it going to catch a little bit? That is just running down to the back left of the green, but you can see that started much more towards my target. I don't want to be taking on the flag here because it's behind a bunker. That's just left of centre, which is where I was aiming, and that's now going to give me a chance to get down in 2 putts, whereas it's going to be very difficult from swinging out of balance and missing short-sided. So guys, think about those 3 points to make an effortless golf swing to help you lower your scores.